Okay, we'll get started here. Welcome everybody, and welcome to our very first Committee of Adjustment meeting for 2023. Happy New Year. If you do have a cell phone with you, I ask you to turn the ringer off if you could. Now, members of the public with us this evening, with a particular interest in any application, please fill your name and address out on the sign-up sheets at the back of the room. And I'm now required to read the following notice. So the notice of decision for the applications we review this evening will only be forwarded to those who have either presented a written request for the decision or to those who have recorded their name and address on the sign-up sheets at the back of the room. Furthermore, a formal request is necessary to be advised of a possible Ontario Land Tribunal hearing on these matters and in order to make a presentation to the Ontario Land Tribunal, which is otherwise known as the OLT. So if you're following along remotely and you want to be notified of the decision or any appeals, then please send an email to our Secretary-Treasurer, Lindsay Stamen. Her email address is lsthamann@cityofkingston.ca. Be sure to include your full name, your address, and the file number of the application. So at this point, I'd like to share with you the five-part format I'll be using as we navigate through the applications this evening. So in the first part, I'm going to start by introducing the application. So if you are the applicant, please come up to the speaker's area to the right and then state your name and address for the record, and then you'll have an opportunity to provide any additional information you feel is necessary. In the second step, I'll invite members of the committee to ask questions of either the applicant, the agent, or staff. And then in the third step, I'll open the public portion of the meeting. Now at this point, members of the public can line up at the speaker's area to my right, or if you're following remotely, you can raise your virtual hand in Zoom. And when I recognize you, I'm going to ask you to state your full name and address for the record, and then you'll have an opportunity to make your comments or ask your questions. Now, each speaker will be allowed up to 5 minutes, and I'll be sure to give a warning at the 4-minute mark. It'll be helpful if speakers do not repeat the same information. So if somebody has already covered a point that you wish to make, don't feel compelled to repeat it. That's just not helpful. Now, during the public portion of the meeting, don't expect an immediate response to your questions or comments. Because during this portion of the meeting, we record the questions and comments, and it's only after I close the public portion of the meeting will the questions and comments be addressed by the applicant, their agent, or staff. And I'll be calling 3 times for public comments before I close the public portion of the meeting. Afterwards, I'll give in step number 4, we'll give the applicant or their agent an opportunity to address those public comments, and then in the 5th and final step, I'll turn the meeting over to the committee where we deliberate on the application and we will make an ultimate decision. And then we rinse and we repeat. That's the same format I'll use for the applications this evening. So at this point, I'll now call on Ian, our committee clerk, to confirm quorum. Ian?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you, I can confirm we do indeed have quorum. Currently absent from the meeting is Somnath Sinha and Jordan Tekenos-Levy. We also have a number of members of the public present both in Zoom and in the chamber. Happy to turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair.
Great, thanks very much. So at this point now, I'll call the meeting to order, and I'll refer you to the agenda. Meeting come to order at 5:33 p.m. So committee members, we received an addendum this afternoon at 2 o'clock. Did you both receive that? The addendum? Okay, so I'll now call for a motion to approve the agenda as amended. So moved by Greg and seconded by Blaine. Any discussion? So all in favor, raise your physical hands, and that's unanimously carried. Okay, now at this point, I am going to be declaring a pecuniary interest, so I'm going to call for a volunteer for vice chair while I leave the room. Looks like, okay, so you volunteer to be chair, okay. Do we need to vote on that? No, that's all good. Okay, thank you. All right, so now we're down to confirmation of the minutes of December the 12th. Can I have a motion to approve that? So moved by Blaine and seconded by Greg. Any discussion? So all in favor, raise your physical hands, and that's unanimously carried. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest?
Yes, I have one. Through you. 664 Truman Drive. I am familiar with the owners, and therefore I'm going to have to excuse myself.
Okay.
the kind people. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much. And I as well will be declaring a pecuniary interest on the second application for 3851 Clark Road. I'm currently working with the applicant on another file, so I'll be relinquishing the chair to Mr. Fudge and leaving the room. Okay, any other disclosures? No? Okay, that's fine. We'll move on. There are no delegations. We have no requests for deferral. There are no returning deferred items. And the first piece of new business is for number 1 Lappins Lane. Lindsay, can I have you read this into the record, please?
Good evening, everyone, and through you, Mr. Chair. Our first application tonight is for minor variance, file number D13072-2022 at 1 Lappins Lane.
Great, thank you. And do we have the applicant here with us this evening? Yep. And who is the planner for it? Will they be making a presentation? Okay, Janice. Welcome, Janice.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chair. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, very well, thank you.
Okay, great. I'll get started and I'll try to make this fairly brief. It's a pretty straightforward application here. So my name is Janice and I'm a planner with the city. I'll be presenting my recommendation for approval of the application for minor variance for the property at 1 Lappins Lane. The application is requesting relief from the maximum height provision of the M3 zone under the new Kingston zoning bylaw 2022-62. And this is in order to place an accessory water holding tank on the property. Next slide, please. So most of us, I think, are aware of this property in Kingston. It's quite a large one in the urban area of the city. It's about 94 hectares in size, and it's located on the east side of Sir John A. Macdonald Boulevard between Princess Street and John Counter Boulevard. The property is currently developed with industrial buildings, which accommodate the operations of Novelis. The application in front of the committee today would allow for Novelis to meet what they've noted as insurance requirements for a secondary water supply on the property, and that would support the existing industrial uses. So they're not proposing expansion to those buildings at this time. It's just to kind of satisfy their insurance requirements coming up here. Next slide, please. So accessory buildings in the M3 zone are subject to the parent zone provisions of the zone rather than accessory buildings in residential zones, which we often see subject to the more general provisions of the zoning bylaw. So the maximum height requirement in the M3 zone is 15 meters. The proposal is requesting a variance of section 16.4.1.3 of that zone in order to allow the water holding tank of the size that they require to satisfy the insurance company. So that is at about 16 meters in height. The variance would be for 16.5 meters to allow some flexibility in the final tank. Next slide, please. So this image here, it shows the planned location of the water tank. So you'll see it's located near the existing developed portions of the site and beside a paved parking lot. The water tank would be located approximately 120 meters from the nearest lot line, which is to the east here. So you can see the red circle where the water tank would be, and then that white line there is measuring the distance to the nearest lot line, which is about 120 meters. That nearest lot line there is fenced and is one that's shared with the Leroy Grant Trail. Next slide, please. And for the community's benefit as well, this is just an image of what the water tank is anticipated to look like. So you'll see that the design is consistent with its functional use and is compatible with the industrial property. Next slide, please. Notice of the application was provided to neighbors in accordance with the Planning Act, and to date we have not received any comments or questions from members on the public of the application. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, the proposed water tank is compatible with the industrial property. It will not result in adverse impacts on the surrounding lands, and the requested variance satisfies the 4 tests of the Planning Act. We are recommending the application for approval, which would allow for the existing use to continue on the site and support the ongoing insurability of the Novelis plant, which is a significant employer in the city. That's all for me on the application, and happy to answer any questions that I can. I understand we also have the applicants in chamber as well, if there's any questions for them.
Great. Thanks very much, Denise. Okay, so do we have the applicant with us? Did you have anything further you wanted to add to the application? Nothing at all. Okay, so committee members, do you have any questions for the applicant? Yeah, Blaine.
Just a curiosity, we're only talking about a 1.5 meter variance. Have you ever considered dropping it down 1.5 meters lower so that you wouldn't need the variance? Right.
Sorry, sir, we would require you to go to the thing and state your name first so I can get it in the record here.
Yeah.
Yes, please, and it'll turn red when you, yeah, legal name and, yeah, that'll be perfect for me.
So my name is Gregory Snyder. I'm a facilities engineer for the property. What we're looking to do is basically satisfy an insurance requirement. So we used to be handled by FM Global, which was Factory Mutual. We're now handled through a company called GRC, which is Global Risk Consultants. Basically what happened was when they severed our other properties over the years, the city used to have multiple water supply lines to our site. So in the event of a fire, we would draw on your system, but we had other sources to draw on. Based on that severance, our cold mill standards in the city of Kingston and for any cold mills we have in the year ask for 2 water supplies or a reservoir. Working through that, I tried to actually before do a twin pipe system through the city, which was also denied because of they don't want private property to have 2 water supplies. Sure. So we're really only left with the holding option of that, and through our feed study, which is a front-end engineering design review, we have found that that is the size of tank we need, and for the manufacturer, that's how they designed their tank. And it's sort of an out-of-the-box, out-of-factory. What you'd be requesting would be a custom design build, which would add much more time and expense to the project.
Yeah, I guess maybe I didn't explain myself. If I was just thinking you change the elevation, so dig down 1.5 meters, and then your tank is set down in the ground, not submerged in the ground, but just regrade the area. That's all I was wondering if you'd ever consider that, because then you wouldn't need a variance.
We've considered that, but the mechanics of the pipe work and stuff changes the depth of the existing infrastructure that's there. It would also mean for us to now rework a lot of our existing water main as well. Could be done, but at a very large expense.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
The only other question I had is, has anybody ever saw the sight lines? Like, did anybody take a view
That's a good point. Yeah.
from, like, I was just looking residentially where you're placing that. Has anybody ever looked at the sight lines to look at a tank?
Janice, do you know, has that been examined or was that part of the application?
Thanks, Chair, and through you. We did not complete that kind of modeling exercise as part of this. The setbacks from the lot line to where the tank will be located are quite substantial. So it's about 120 meters from that closest lot line. And the height variance requested is 1.5 meters. So it's not unlike something else that could be built on the property, meaning to say a building could be built on the property that's much larger at a 15-meter height. So there is possibility that you might be able to see the tank from the residential properties, but they are separated by quite a significant difference. And I don't believe that that would be considered an adverse impact on those properties being located close to an industrial property where it's likely to have these types of uses.
Okay. All right. Good. Thanks for that. Any other questions of the committee? No? Okay. So at this point, I'll open the public portion of the meeting. Do we have any people with us this evening wishing to speak to the application for 1 Lappins Lane? Please let yourself be known. Anybody in the gallery at all?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we do have a member of the public in the viewing gallery, but they have not raised their hand. in Zoom.
Okay, so I'll call them 2 more times as I am to. Do we have anybody with us wishing to speak to the application for 1 Lappins Lane? And my third and final call, is anybody with us this evening wishing to speak to the application for number 1 Lappins Lane? Please raise your virtual hand in Zoom. And seeing none, I'll close the public portion of the meeting and come back to the committee for, a motion. Moved by Greg, seconded by Blaine. Any discussion? So all in favor, raise your physical hands, and that's unanimously carried. Thank you. Okay, so the next application, I've declared a pecuniary interest, so I will relinquish the chair and leave the room.
And if the vice chair would like to come up here so we can run the meeting together, that would be perfect. Thank you. Just give us a quick moment, guys.
All right, am I coming through clear? All right, so we're going to move on to our next matter, which is 3851 Clark Road. Can staff kindly read into record the next matter for the committee?
Through you, the next application is for minor variance and consent at 3851 Clark Road. The file numbers are D10-032-2022 and D13-065-2022.
All right, thank you very much. Are we ready to present? Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the committee and staff, and members of the public. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Good, no problem. The purpose of the consent application D10-032-2022 is to sever a 1 hectare lot from the existing 7.9 hectare subject property at 3851 Clark Road. The minor variance D13-065-2022 is requested to provide relief from the minimum lot frontage provision for the severed lot. Next slide, please. So the subject property is located on the south side of Princess Street and the west side of Clark Road with frontage on both roads. The property is currently developed along the Clark Road frontage with a dwelling, outbuildings, and barn. In total, it is approximately 7.9 hectares with approximately 68 meters of frontage on Princess and 330 meters of frontage on Clark Road. The livestock facility accommodates beef cattle, which have access to the barnyard that surrounds the structure, and the livestock facility has experienced multiple additions over the past decade, which are used for storage. The surrounding area is predominantly made up of rural residential lots with active agricultural operations on the proposed retain lot and 4 other livestock facilities within the 1,500-meter radius of the site. The property is currently designated as rural in the City of Kingston official plan and is located in the general rural area RU zone of zoning bylaw 2022-62. Next slide, please. The severed and retained lot conform to the lot area and depth in the City of Kingston official plan and zoning bylaw. The application is seeking a variance to reduce the minimum lot frontage of the severed lot from 90 meters to 68 meters in the RU zone, so a total variance of 22 meters. The proposed consent application will result in a creation of a new parcel, which is consistent with nearby residential lots and is appropriate for future non-farm residential use. The undeveloped severed parcel of land will be subject to the requirements of the zoning bylaw at the time of future development. Next slide, please. So this is the concept plan for the subject property. If I can bring your attention to the blue highlight at the middle left of the plan, this represents the proposed severed 1 hectare lot on the subject property. So the proposed lot frontage of the severed lot allows for adequate space for a dwelling to be constructed in the future, while also conforming to the setback requirements of the zone. Any future proposed residential use will have to comply with the minimum distance separation requirements, also known as MDS, to ensure the protection of agricultural land for agricultural uses in the surrounding area. Next slide, please. So with respect to public consultation, signs were posted on the subject property 14 days in advance of the meeting. Notices were mailed to a total of 14 properties within 60 meters of the site. And a courtesy notice was placed in the Kingston WIG standard. And to date, 3 formal pieces of public correspondence have been received since this presentation was created, with respect to outlining no objection and providing support to the 2 applications on the subject property. Next slide, please. So the proposal is consistent with the PPS, conforms with all applicable policies of the official plan, is in keeping with the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. A plan of subdivision is not necessary for the properly and orderly development of the property, and as such is recommended for provisional approval. So provisional approval of this consent application will enable that severance of a 1 hectare rural residential lot from the existing agricultural subject property. And the requested variance maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan, zoning bylaw. And the proposal is desirable for the appropriate development or use of land, building, or structure, and the variance is minor in nature. As such, this application meets all 4 tests under the Planning Act, and the application is being recommended for approval subject to the proposed conditions. So thank you very much for your time this evening, and that concludes my presentation. I look forward to addressing any questions and or comments from the committee or members of the public during the discussion period. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nikki, for your presentation. Do we have the applicant with us this evening? And is there anything the applicant would like to add to the application?
Hi there, my name's Alex Adams. I'm with the Boulevard Group and representing the owner of the land. Happy with everything from staff and the presentation, just requesting one small change to one of the conditions of consent, and that was included in the addendum, some revised wording for the condition regarding the setback of the development that's proposed on the land at the rear and subjecting it to an environmental impact study.
Okay, thank you very much. Staff, Nikki, you've received the addendum, you've read it, all of that. We're all in agreement that this is the best course of action and there are no more objections. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. Committee members, any questions for the applicant? None? Good. Okay, so now we're going to move to the public portion of the meeting. Are there any members of the public here to speak to the application of 3851 Clark Road?
Through you, Mr. Vice Chair, there are 2 members in the public viewing gallery with their hands up. However, both are named Saket Patel. So when I allow one to speak, please state your name and, before you give your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you. Thank you. Go ahead. Did we lose her?
Sorry, we may have just missed your audio there. Can you try again?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Our concern is that the property.
My apologies. The audio on your end keeps cutting in and out, so we could not hear what you were saying there. We're going to try one more time. If not, you can always send your correspondence to Lindsay Stamen, and it will go onto the official record of this application as well if we can't get your comments tonight.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, try again. So our concern is that we're on a well out here. We are right next door to the proposed Severance. So our biggest concern is that when they put a well there, that they're going to tap into our water vein.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. Can I just have your name for the record, ma'am?
Yes, it's Kim Mittal, M-I-T-T-A-L.
Nikki, are you able to speak to that? Thank you. Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Vice Chair, thank you for the comments supplied there. In regards to the well and concern, condition of consent would be the private well and hydrogeological study. So in order for this consent to gain approval, it will be required to satisfy that hydrogeological condition in support of the proposed severance. So they will be needing to supply that assessment in accordance with the city standards to ensure that there would be adequate water quality and quantity that wouldn't adversely affect the neighborhood properties. So that would be part of the consent approval process. If that is not able to be demonstrated, then that condition would not be able to be satisfied.
Thank you.
I do see that the applicant has raised their hand, or the agent for the applicant. However, as this is unless he has anything else further to add for the answer about the hydraulic study.
Just to build off Nikki's comment, just for the comfort of the neighbour, the Hydro G does involve a pump test of all surrounding wells, so it would be assessed to see that theirs isn't adversely impacted. And to Nikki's point, if there is anything, then the ultimate severance would not be approved if there was anything unsatisfactory. Thank you.
Thank you.
There are no further members of the public, Mr. Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you. Then that'll close the public portion of the meeting. And now we'll move on to a motion from the committee.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. As the Exhibit B is being amended with the addition,
Yep.
I just want to make sure that we do have a proper vote on that. And so just a mover, seconder voted on it. We do have the wording. I could throw it up on the screen if you'd like to just be
Yes,
quickly
please.
see it. Great. Give me 5 seconds.
Now, should I read this into the record or? Yes, please. Okay, so this is a motion to amend. And so the motion to amend is written as such, that Exhibit B to report number COA-23001 be amended in section 11H by adding unless otherwise demonstrated by an environmental impact study to the satisfaction of the City of Kingston. The owner acknowledges that they will be responsible for any applicable fees for the review of the environmental impact study by the City of Kingston. And so I'm going to ask for that motion to be either moved or yes. Okay, Mr. Blaine, thank you. And I'll second it. Thank you. So all those in favor, raise your hands. And thank you very much. Okay, and so for the approval of the application itself, yep, so I'll ask now, we'll move on to a motion for the application itself. So that's moved by Mr. Blaine, seconded by myself. And all those in favor? Thank you very much. And now I will excuse myself from the vice chair seat, and I also have to excuse myself from the next application. Thank you very much.
All right, the next application on the agenda is number C for 664 Truman Drive. Can I have you read that into the record, Lindsay?
Through you, Mr. Chair, our last application tonight is for consent at 664 Truman Drive, file number D10-043-2022.
And Shanti, you are the planner, I believe. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as mentioned, my name is Shanti and I am a planner with the city, and I will be walking you through this presentation tonight. So this application is a consent application for the property at 664 Truman Drive, application number D10-043-2022. This application seeks to create a new lot with a with an area of 455 square meters, with 15.2 meters of road frontage on Frost Drive. The retained portion would be 819 square meters, with frontage on both Truman Drive and Frost Drive. So 29.8 meters on Truman Drive and 27.4 meters on Frost Drive. This application is not seeking any minor variances and does not require any other planning applications. This application is before the committee tonight as a result of the processes within the delegated authority bylaw. So generally, consent applications that do not require other planning applications, whether it be a minor variance, official plan amendment, or zoning bylaw amendments, generally these applications can be approved by the director. However, within that delegated authority process, applications that are disputed may be forwarded to this committee for decision. And so that's why the application is here tonight. Slide, please. So this subject property is located within the UR1A zone, which is in the West Bay Ridge area. Slide, please. This is a zoom in of the Severance Sketch. So the corner lot on the corner of Truman and Frost, the retained portion contains an existing single detached home, and the proposed severed portion is currently vacant. I will also point out near the proposed new lot line, there is a tree. And I point this out because Exhibit H includes a letter from the applicant indicating that the proposed lot line was chosen based on the location of this tree and the desire to retain this tree on the retained portion of the lands. Slide, please. So 2 public notice processes were undertaken as a result of the delegated authority and bump up processes. So under the original circulation, 2 notices were posted on site for 14 days, and notices were sent to 20 properties within 60 meters of the subject property. 5 formal pieces of correspondence were received during this period, and as a result, this application was bumped up to the committee. Slide, please. New notices were sent to all property owners within 60 meters, which is 20 properties, indicating this meeting date and indicating the new process that would be followed. New signs were also posted on the site, and a courtesy notice was placed in the Kingston Whig Standard. No additional correspondence was received during this period. Slide, please. All correspondence that was received is summarized within the report, along with a summary of responses. All original letters are included in Exhibit I of this report. Just to summarize the planning responses, this proposal is in keeping with the UR1A zone. It meets the minimum frontage requirement. No variances are requested, and any new construction on the newly created lot would be subject to the provisions of the UR1A zone, including required setbacks and required height maximums. Any variance from these requirements would require a separate planning application at a future date. There are no trees proposed to be removed. As mentioned, the 1 large tree on the property would be contained within the retained portion. Slide, please. And so as this proposal meets the requirements of Section 5124 of the Planning Act, it is consistent with the provincial policy statements. It conforms with all the applicable policies of the official plan, and it is in keeping with the applicable policies of the zoning bylaw. This application is being recommended for provisional approval, subject to the conditions outlined in Exhibit A. Slide, please. And so in terms of next steps, following decision of the committee, a notice of decision will be sent to the owner and applicant, and there is a 20-day appeal period. The owner then has 2 years to complete the conditions within Exhibit A, and the new lot will not formally be created until these conditions are fulfilled and their certificate of official is registered on title. And so that concludes the summary of this application. I'm happy to answer questions, and we also have the applicants Gerald and Eleanor Saunders joining us virtually tonight.
Great. Thanks very much, Shanti. Thank you. So can we please have the applicant identify yourself by name and address for the record, please?
Hello,
Yes, hello, I can hear you.
it's Eleanor Saunders and Gerald Saunders.
Okay. Welcome. Is there anything further you want to add to the application we have before us?
No, I think everything was covered thoroughly by Shanti. And
Okay.
I thank her very much, yes.
Okay, very good. All right, so then I'll turn it over to committee members. Do you have any questions for the applicant? And Blaine?
I do have a question. In the application, they said they want to retain the tree that's in the backyard, and yet, when I look at that, the lot from topographical, like, I have no idea how you're going to retain that tree when you build next to it.
Right, with the, you're talking the
Yeah,
roots
like-
being,
Yeah, you have to cut off half of it, so
right,
I'm not sure whether that's really a,
yep,
it's just an item of concern I have with this.
sure, absolutely. And I don't know, Shanti or Ms. Saunders, did you want to address that?
My husband's here, he'll be able to address that, Gerald Saunders.
Okay,
Okay, I'll put him on.
sure, yes, thank you. Hi, Gerald, welcome.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Yes, it's a kind of a sad thing because on the so-called side of the property or the back of 664 Truman Drive, there were a number of large ash trees, and they got the ash disease, so they were just recently cut down. So this maple tree was planted by Eleanor's parents when they first moved to the piece of property. So it's grown into a very nice maple tree. And the problem is, the reason why I left about 6 feet from the base of the tree to the exterior part of the roots is I wanted to guarantee that we could maintain and save that tree. As I said, it's a nice maple tree. And so no matter what happens there, whether they put a house in or whether they dig trenches or whatever they do, the 6 feet, I'm sure, will maintain the root structure of that tree. So that was just the important part of it.
Okay, Blaine?
Okay. On.
Would we have an arborist to support that?
Right, so sorry, Ms. Saunders, the follow-up to that is, do we have an arborist report on that that would support that the 6 feet of roots would not, getting rid of anything other than that would not compromise the tree?
No, we haven't talked to anyone, arborist or no one, no. We've not spoken to anyone.
Okay. Okay, thanks very much. Okay, I don't have, do you have any other questions? I don't have any other questions at all. So at this point, I'll open up the public portion of the meeting.
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are no members of the public in the public viewing gallery or in the chamber.
Oh, completely empty. Okay, so I won't be calling for members of the public. We'll go right to right to a motion. So, Blaine?
So, Mr. Chair, I do have reservations about their intention with the tree. Sorry, I'm just what I'm thinking. Is there any way that we can put a clause in there to have an arborist support their choice? Like, I don't know, just when I look at that, I just don't know how you're ever going to do any kind of development on that. And as they said, the emerald ash has wiped out most of the trees, and I look at that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just have a hard time with it, that's all.
So how would your proposed motion read, or an amendment to the motion?
Whether we amend it just to ask for either city staff or the owner of the property to get a certified arborist to support their decision of location.
Okay.
I don't know how we can enforce that, but I'm just saying I strongly believe that any kind of development there is going to destroy that tree.
Okay,
So.
all right. Shanti wants to chime in, so feel free to add in now.
I may. Thank you, Chair. I did want to mention that these types of residential properties are exempt from our tree bylaw. I think what the applicant is trying to do is well-intended, I will also note that the minimum lot frontage requirement for this lot is actually 12 meters. So this proposal still does exceed that. So I think the intention to balance and to do the best to retain that tree is there. But to require an arborist is not something that we would do on another residential lot, just for the committee to consider. And I think Megan may have had an additional comment. I might have seen a hand there, but I could be wrong. Thank you for your time.
What's this about the comment? Say that again. You say Megan?
Sorry, I thought I saw a hand. I could be wrong.
It's okay. I can just supplement a little bit further. Ms. Birdie is absolutely correct that within the city of Kingston, our tree bylaw does not apply to residential lots such as this. So as she mentioned, the applicant is well intended in recognizing that well-established trees are a characteristic of this neighborhood and wanting to give that tree the best chance as possible for being retained by maintaining it on their own property. But there is a balance to consider there in wanting to create a severed lot that is as large as possible in terms of meeting the frontage requirements of the zoning bylaw, and as well as being of a viable size. So I think if we were looking to further reduce that lot size, there may be an issue of meeting the minimum lot frontage as well as providing for a viable lot area. Further, because there is no proposal for construction on the severed lands at this time, it would be difficult to assess the viability of retaining that tree in relation to a building footprint, being that we don't know what the building footprint necessarily will be on the severed lands at this time. What we do know is what the applicable setbacks would be on that property, but we don't necessarily have a development proposal for the severed lands before us tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just ask another question?
Yes, for sure.
So will this severance be similar to the one on the corner of Truman and Lincoln? On the opposite lot?
Maybe put that map up.
Yes, happy to speak to that. And I believe we actually highlighted that within the staff report, that this is a condition that's been previously established in the neighborhood with similar severances on that corner to the south, as well as to the west, I believe.
Okay, so this is not unusual.
No.
Okay. All right, anything further? Okay, all right, so we're now, public portion is closed. We're now to the committee to make a deliberation, so I'll call for a motion. Moved by Blaine and I guess seconded by me. And any discussion? No, so all in favor, raise your physical hands, and that's unanimously carried. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the agenda. We have no other business. I'm sorry, there are no motions. We have no notices of motions. There's no other business, no additional correspondence. The date of the next meeting is set for February the 22nd. And now we're looking for a motion to adjourn. So moved by Blaine and seconded by Greg. All in favor, raise your physical hands. That's unanimously carried. Meeting adjourned at 6:13 p.m. Thank you.